We make it possible with our easy-to-use form builder. Data collection and management have never been this painless. We're going to spend the next few minutes going over 5 main points. So let's start with web forms. As it says, the answer is quite simple. By dumping old-fashioned paper forms and the time it takes to sift through all of the responses only to put them in another system to analyze, online forms makes it easier for your visitors to give you this information. And we all know there are not enough hours in the day to get things done, so make it easier for your staff to manage this collected information. This saves you time, resources, and reduces that stack of paper sitting on your desk or those emails that are clogging up your inbox, at least making a dent in them. We did a little digging and found that since 2014, submissions using online web forms increased by 151%. How about another fun fact? Did you know that the caffeine content of a single can of Red Bull is 80 milligrams? This is about the same as 1 cup of coffee. So, how many of those do you need to get through all of those submissions? I've told you why, and hopefully convinced you why, but maybe you need a little more persuasion. Okay, let's take a look at a few examples. Port Clinton City Schools built an online web form to collect submissions for their 2016 Olympic Day. Now, while I can't share the stats of their form with you, well, because of privacy readings, I can tell you this much: it is successful. And Christina School District built a longer form to collect applicant information for their summer positions. By building a longer style form, it allows for collecting more information all at once. And Seaford School District, who wanted to give their staff a survey regarding their 2015-2016 plans. Have you noticed a pattern here? Each form is unique and is custom. Short or long forms, and it's nicely situated on the district site. All right, I bet you want to know how it's done. Okay, so you have a forms editor with simple drag-drop features to build it out. You can separate sections to define the form. You can even preview it before you make it live. And if you want to make changes, don't stop there. Go ahead and make those changes and preview it over and over until you're happy with it. Let's go build one now. I've logged into the CMS as a web administrator. On the left-hand side, we'll find the Forms module. Once we click on that, we'll find the forms that we've created previously in the center of the screen. To create a new form, we'll click on Create New Form. We'll give the form a name. A description if one exists, the form status, and we'll add in the managers. There's some additional things that you can do with this form settings, but we'll look at that here in a moment. Let's go ahead and click Save. Next, we'll need to build the form. On the right-hand side, there's an arrow pointing down. Clicking that brings us into the form editor. This is where all the magic happens. With drag and drop fields on the left-hand side, we can drag a single line text field, click it once and rename it, click to require it, and repeat that for the last name. Let's do that now. Drag it over, drop it, click it, and rename it. And we'll require this one as well. Let's do that for a phone number. Single line text, drag and drop, click, and rename it. We'll use the validate option here to ensure that we're actually going to get a phone number typed in. And we'll require that. You want an email address? On the advanced fields, just slide over email. Address, we'll bring over all of the address lines that are applicable to the address fields, so there's no need to drag over the single line text fields unless you need them. Let's go ahead and add in a radio. And the radio option is going to be a question that'll allow you to select one answer. And because this is a student registration, I want to know what campus they're applying for. Next, we'll put in the options, and by using the Add Options, We can add in as multiple answers as we'd like to allow one to select from. Let's do 4 of those now. If you have a much longer list, you do have an option to copy and paste the list that previously exists and put it right in without having to do these individually. Let's require that. Now we have our radio option. How about a checkbox? We'll drag the checkbox over. Now, a checkbox, as we know, will allow one to select multiple options. Click it to rename it. Let's go for interests. And let's add in 4 options. All right, now let's go ahead and require that and click Update. Now, at any point in time, we can rearrange the order of any of these items just simply by dragging and dropping. You see that? And if the form is really long, or if you just want to apply section headers to make the form stand out or let the user know what areas it is that they're filling in, just drag over the section headers. Place them where you'd like, click on them once, and rename them. And let's repeat that one more time, and let's call this campus information. So you can see by simply using the drag and drop features on the left-hand side with the standard fields and the advanced fields, there's so many other things that you can use here to build out the form. There's some advanced settings that you can go into as well that'll help you get the needs that you need out of this form. Now, here's where else the magic happens. You know, when you think back at looking at that Word document that you're putting together, only to find out that it's going to change over and over again, right? Well, in this case, we're able to save the form and preview the form and make changes to the form if we're not satisfied. And we can do that as often as we want. This form's URL is a living, breathing URL. So that means that when you're building the form and it's out there live, you can continuously make changes to that form on the fly. All right, let's go ahead and close this form. And let's look at a couple of other settings that we have with the form. Again, underneath this drop-down, we'll go into what's called notifications. Now, the beauty of notifications is that when somebody uses the form and submits to it, someone should get notified, right? All right, let's add a notification. Here, we'll select the list of our users, and we'll click Save. Now, when the form has submissions on it, Dade Gaylord will get notifications. Let's take it one step further. Let's add a notification, and let's add a condition. And the condition is that if someone answers the question, which campus are you applying for, and they choose South Campus, I'd like that notification to go to the admin at South Campus. Let's put their email address in now. And click Save. You can add in as many notifications as you need to satisfy the conditions of your form. So if you want to let the admin know at every one of the different campuses, continuously add the notifications with those conditions. If there are other users within your district or your school that should be notified of these submissions, add them in. All right, let's go back. The next thing we're going to look at here are actual submissions. So if you look here on the right-hand side under the submissions column, you'll see these numbers here. And if you select the numbers, that'll bring you into the actual page of submissions. Now, I've only got 3 submissions on this page, but if I had more or less, I could use this export option to export in XLSX, which is an Excel file, or CSV, so that I can do some further analyzing. Now, when this list is actually really long, because we know we get a lot of submissions, we're actually able to search those submissions by keywords or by certain dates. There are so many ways you can choose to implement online web forms. Whether you're looking to create a form for absence requests, volunteer applications, employment applications, before you mock it up in Word and print it over several hundred copies, only to find out one of those questions has changed, and now you have to start all over again. I bet if you had online web forms, you would click a button, make the change, and that's it. How about a transaction style form to collect fees? With the online forms builder, you're not only able to collect information like name, address, or even a simple detail like an email address, but how about being able to add in a payment option for things like donations or transcripts? Let me show you how easy it is to start collecting payments using your online forms. Let's take a look at adding fees to our forms. Let's use a transcript form as an example. First, let's take a look at what that looks like now. We'll click Show on Website where we can see that transcript form that's come to life. Now, the transcript form says here that the cost is $5 each, so we need to make sure that we can get a credit card option added to this form. To do that, we'll go back into the form, click on the arrow, and tap on the main settings. Here, you'll find an option to enable credit card charges. We'll select that. Next, we'll choose whether we want the form to calculate from several fields or if we have a fixed amount. We're going to use fixed amount and add in $5. Our merchant account is already set up, and for those of you who have merchant accounts already, you'll talk to our team about getting those implemented into the system, and then you'll just choose from this dropdown. Next, we'll apply the other settings that are applicable, and we'll simply click Save. Now, if I go back into this form here and I refresh, we'll find now that the payment information has been added. And if we go back into the content management system and go into the form editor, you'll find too that the payment information has also been added, and that is what is reflective on our current form. When one fills out this form and submit, they'll have the option to review the submission on the next page before their credit card is actually charged, i.e. confirming their order. When transactions are processed, you can easily see when, from who, and the amounts all in one place, as well as being able to export for further analyzing. As you saw, our forms builder is efficient, easy to use, and guess what? You don't need HTML or coding experience to use it. You have a total solution. Thinking back at your inbox filled with requests to create forms, anyone can do it. No technical training required. Build it, share it, collect it, review it, and process it all in one CMS. It really is that easy. Thank you for joining me today. We'd be happy to address any questions that you have or to discuss further how online web forms can work for you. Go ahead and get in touch at info@educationalnetworks.net. And don't forget, visit our website at www.educationalnetworks.net. We look forward to working with you.